Casual takes with your boy Stephen Pepper here to give some takes off my chest. I hope everyone had a good weekend. I did watch some NBA basketball yesterday, and I want to talk about those games. Knicks 76ers. I want to start by saying I do have some newfound respect for Joel Embiid. He is playing on one leg and can't feel half his face, and yet he hasn't missed a game, which is different from the last two seasons where Embiid has also been hurt, as we all know, but he's missed some time, which has cost the 76ers games. And he knows that. He knows that they can't win without him on the floor, as to why he pretty much played the entire second half yesterday. But I'm sorry, if you're healthy enough to play the entire fourth quarter, I can't grant you the injury excuse. The difference in this series, Knicks 76ers, has been effort. The Knicks simply want it more than the 76ers, particularly on the glass. The Knicks have 15 more offensive rebounds in the series. They always say rebounds are an effort stat. And Joel Embiid's effort on the boards have cost the 76ers the series. I mean, bro, when you're averaging less rebounds a game than 6'4" Josh Hart, that is inexcusable. At 7'2", 280, you're on a top two leading rebounder in a must-win game at home against a depleted front court? And there's a player, one of my favorite players, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, a walking injury, backs against the wall versus Nikola Jokic, had 23 rebounds. And you're telling me you can't give me more than 10 with 0 offensive rebounds? That is just effort. I'm not one to quote old heads here. I don't really like doing that. But I do like when old heads say this, that if you're on the floor, you're healthy. You can't really get the injury excuse if you're on the floor. And for Joel Embiid, I get he's playing on one leg. But if he is on the floor, he is healthy. I mean, when you're playing the entire fourth quarter, you're healthy enough to give me some effort on the glass. You give me enough effort to drop 50 in game 3, but rebounds are simply an effort stat. There's some skill to rebounding, but it's mostly effort. Josh Hart, 17 rebounds at 6'4", effort. OG Anunoby, defense on the perimeter, 14 rebounds, effort. Achua, Hartenstein, effort. I truly believe Philadelphia is up 3-1 opposed to being down 3-1 in this series if they just would have had more effort. Now, not all the effort blame should be on Joel Embiid. Maxey to Reed to Tobias Harris, they all need to have more effort on the backboard, particularly who is boxing out Josh Hart needs to put in more effort. But when you're the biggest player on the court, 7 foot, damn near 300 pounds against a depleted front court, I'm expect you to give me more than 10 rebounds. And game 2, here we go. Philadelphia blows in 5-point lead in like 8 seconds. Here comes Hartenstein, top of the key, flies down to the paint, blows past Joel Embiid, who fails to box him out, grabs a rebound, kick out to Dante DiVincenzo for the win. Game 4, fourth quarter. I swear there were multiple possessions when the Knicks had multiple offensive rebounds with Embiid and company in the paint. They lost that one. Now they're down 3-1. Again, I know he's hurt and he's gassed. But Embiid, what the hell was that fourth quarter? I mean, you had a 1 point, you were 0 for 5, 1 for 2 from the line, and -4. And I'm pretty sure when I went back to record some data, you only had 1 rebound. And I think in game 2, you also went scoreless. And what pisses me off the most, and it's been one of my biggest criticisms of him in the postseason, is that why the hell are you standing on the perimeter in the final minutes of these playoff games? You're 7 foot, 300 pounds, MVP of the league. They can't guard you. And the 76ers late in these games need a guaranteed bucket when their offense with Kyle Lowry and Maxey have no idea how to get initiated. They need a guaranteed bucket. And your big self is standing on the three-point line, forcing up jumpers when you should be in the paint where no one can guard you, or at least draw a foul, which is something that you like to do. Again, I have a lot of new respect for Joel Embiid because in Joel Embiid in 2022, he is missing games in the series because of his injuries. He's playing through them. But if you're healthy enough to play the entire fourth quarter, you are healthy enough to give me a couple rebounds. You're healthy enough to drop 50. You're healthy enough to get 1 offensive rebound. There should be no reason why he's averaging multiple less rebounds than Josh Hart. He isn't the leading rebounder in the game. when I got Nikola Jokic, who is far less athletic, is having 20 rebound games in the playoffs. Anthony Davis, who is a literal walking injury, has 20 rebound games in the playoffs. And you're letting 6'4" Josh Hart out rebound you. That's been the difference in the series. Because against this New York Knicks team that's scrappy, they hustle a lot, great defensive team. They're so passionate on the backboard that you need to bring your A game, your best effort. And, offensively, Joel Embiid has been great scoring the basketball this series. And I give him his credit through the injury. But on the glass, he hasn't shown that effort, even on the defensive end too, but particularly on the glass, it has cost the 76ers games in this series. Now the T-Wolves versus Suns. I was kind of falling asleep watching the game last night because I had to get up early today. I had some presentations to do, but I made myself stay up for that game because I was like, there's no way they actually get swept, right? That's why I kind of wanted to go to sleep. Okay, I'll just watch game 5. And I'm watching this game, and Minnesota is still winning. And I'm like, oh, yeah, they're about to get swept. I need to stay up for this reaction. If the last few seasons of the NBA have taught us anything, is that roster construction absolutely matters. Like, think about the teams that have thrived as of late. Nuggets, Celtics, well-built. And what about the teams that have struggled with high expectations? Lakers, Nets, Suns, just throwing names together. What's disappointing about Phoenix is that they were once one of those thriving units. A nice young core built through the draft, led by a great scorer. Then they bring in Chris Paul to kind of run the show, and they instantly go to the NBA Finals. They lose, but the following season they win 64 games. They did lose in the second round, but the Suns' 2-year span has been better than 90% of the league in this decade. But the Suns get this new owner, right? This is where everything changes. Here comes, now the Suns get this new rich owner, Matt Ishbia, who is no different than you and I when playing my GM on 2K. He just starts trading for name value buckets. And even if you can justify the Kevin Durant move, the Bradley Beal trade single-handedly ruined all that Phoenix once built. Phoenix used to have youth, unique roles, playmaking, defense. That's what makes a contender in the 2020s. But what you saw last night was an incomplete roster led by 3 dudes who give a team nothing but buckets, and they got swept because of that. Minnesota absolutely exposed the Suns. The Suns won the season series. I had the Suns winning the playoff series in 6 because I said when they get to their offensive ceiling with that big 3, the Suns, as we saw in the season series, can't stop that. And many teams just can't as well. When they're flowing, when the ball is moving, those 3 players in that offense, too much to guard and too much firepower for an opposing team. But without a playmaker, and if you can, and the credit to the Timberwolves, because they're not going to get a lot of credit today, everyone is going to be talking about the Phoenix Suns. Their length on the perimeter has just disrupted the flow of the Suns' offense, forcing their 3 bucket getters to go strictly ISO. And with their length, with McDaniels, Towns, Gobert, Edwards, and company, they're forcing these Suns into tough jump shots, and that's why they got swept. I can understand the Kevin Durant move. I did. I liked it when it happened. I picked him to win the NBA Finals. Part of that, lose the NBA Finals, but get to it. Part of that's also because I underestimated the Nuggets, but so did a lot of people having the Suns go to the championship when they get Kevin Durant. And, if you want to justify the fact that they needed another certified bucket getter in the playoffs, Booker gets 40 in the NBA Finals, so does Kevin Durant. You're not getting those buckets from Johnson, Bridges, and Chris Paul. I can understand that. And they still had a decent team that year. Chris Paul got hurt in the playoffs, but they had Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and some pieces, a couple draft picks left, and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. That was a nice team. Way better than what they have now. What they have now is an incomplete squad. Minnesota, that's a team. That is a team. Phoenix is not. And I cannot understand the Bradley Beal move. Bradley Beal, I've always been critical of Bradley Beal. I said, my very first podcast, I said he was overrated. I don't like him as a player. It made no sense to me. You traded for a guy who has a long injury history, which hurts them in the standings. His contract for the next 3 years, $50 million, $54 million, and then $57 million over the course of the next 3 seasons. And he doesn't play winning basketball. Here comes Bradley Beal. When they desperately need, the Suns desperately rely on their big 3 because they have no depth. Booker and KD combined for 80 points. Bradley Beal goes 4 for 13. disrespecting Frank Vogel, not playing winning basketball, not playing defense, and doing the little things that championship teams need. But in recent NBA history, what is required to win championships? The Lakers had it, and that's why I always, attack Rob Pelinka and say, what is that emoji? Y'all, what? Did y'all see that? What was that? There was a thumbs up. I don't know if that came up on your guys' screen. That was crazy. But back to what I was saying. The Lakers had it. That's why I always scream at Rob Pelinka. They had a squad in 2020. Defense, roles, built around the duo. The Nuggets had it. The Suns had it. The Warriors had it. The Heat have it. The Celtics have it. Squad. Well coached, depth, duo, squad, multiple roles. This Phoenix team doesn't have it. They don't have a McHale. They don't have a Cam Johnson. They don't have a Chris Paul playmaker. The Chris Paul thing has been huge because when Minnesota locks them down the perimeter and their offense gets stagnant and is forced to just chuck up jumpers, they don't have a playmaking point guard like a Mike Conley-esque guy who can get their players in position like they had last year. But Phoenix absolutely blew up what made them special. They went to a final. They win 64 wins the next season. Just for Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant, now they don't have any depth. They're pretty much screwed. They're thin. They don't have no depth, no draft capital, and a lot of money poured into three guys. Pretty much going nowhere, which is weird and sad and disappointing for how they started the decade with a nice, promising team that went to a final, won 64 games, but now they're stuck with Bradley Beal, and they got swept when they had championship expectations in the first round. But I appreciate everyone for tuning in this episode of Some Casual Takes. We're going to go live tomorrow to talk about the Lakers game. For more updates on all things related to the show, Some Casual Takes is the handle on everything. Until next time, see you.